What if everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's golden age was a lie? What if the glamorous icons you've adored for decades, those flawless smiles, the glitzy gowns, the irresistible charm were hiding some of the most disgusting personal hygiene habits you could ever imagine? A breath so foul that it ruined intimate scenes, a body odor that erased the sets. These are the dirty secrets that Hollywood tried to hide. In this video, we expose the truth behind the carefully crafted images of the stars. Get ready, because what you are going to hear will forever change the way you see them. 1. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe, the ultimate sex symbol, the icon whose image has been burned into our minds for decades. But behind her flawless blonde bombshell exterior, there was a side to her that would shock you. Despite her impeccable on-screen presence, Monroe had some seriously questionable hygiene habits. She was known for going days without bathing, skipping deodorant, and rarely wearing undergarments. On set, where she was meant to shine, her hygiene issues were impossible to ignore. But what's even more shocking, her co-stars couldn't stand being near her. Clark Gable, known for his own pristine appearance, was reportedly repulsed by her lack of cleanliness. During filming The Misfits, he couldn't handle being close to her between takes. Imagine having to kiss someone in front of the cameras, but dreading the moment when the camera cuts. It wasn't just awkward, it was unbearable. Makeup artists had to step in, freshening her up between takes. Alan Whitey Snyder, her trusted makeup artist, would use baby wipes and extra-strength powder to manage the situation. Monroe's glamorous look may have been flawless on screen, but behind the scenes, it was a different story. How could the world's most adored woman let something so basic slip? Was it rebellion, exhaustion, or simply the weight of being an icon? Whatever it was, the truth is clear. Marilyn Monroe's behind-the-scenes reality was far from the picture-perfect image we've all come to love. 2. Clark Gable. Clark Gable, the man who defined Hollywood's leading man. With his rugged charm, he was the epitome of smooth sophistication. But what if I told you that the king of Hollywood had a secret that made even his most devoted fans recoil? By the age of 32, Gable had nearly all of his natural teeth removed due to a severe gum infection. That's right, full dentures by a young age. While dental care in the early 20th century wasn't exactly advanced, Gable's case was extreme. The result? A breath so foul, it became legendary. In fact, Gable's breath was so bad that his co-stars dreaded getting too close. During the filming of It Started in Naples in 1960, his romantic scene partner, Sophia Loren, reportedly kept her distance from him between takes, despite the on-screen chemistry. Imagine having to kiss one of Hollywood's biggest icons, but the smell makes you want to step back. It's a nightmare for any actor. Even more bizarre, Gable refused to use mouthwash or breath mints, convinced they would affect his acting. He never thought it was a problem, and no one dared confront him. The reality, his breath was so overpowering that crew members could smell it from several feet away. Yet his star power was so immense, it didn't matter. Gable was the king of Hollywood, but his bad breath proved that even the most perfect image can hide a less than royal reality. 3. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford, the fierce, ambitious actress with those striking features that made her one of Hollywood's most recognizable stars. But behind that beautiful face, Joan was hiding a dental disaster so painful it completely changed her appearance and left her with a trademark look that was anything but glamorous. In her quest for perfection, Crawford underwent a series of dental procedures designed to enhance her cheekbones, a trend among stars of the era. But things went terribly wrong. After her teeth were extracted, they began to spread apart, and to fill in the gaps, her dentists used cement. But this solution only led to severe gum infections and constant pain. The result? Joan Crawford's upper lip became permanently swollen, a feature that became part of her iconic look, but it was all due to a dental mishap. While her face remained her trademark, it was a constant reminder of the years of pain she endured behind closed doors. Crawford was known for her perfectionism, obsessing over every detail of her appearance. But when it came to her dental health, it was a different story. Makeup artists, who worked with her for years, described a stark contrast between her flawless public image and the painful condition of her mouth. Crawford's breath, too, became infamous, especially when she drank heavily. Her notoriously bad breath was a side effect of the infections, making her already stressful interactions with her co-stars even worse. Hollywood may have adored Joan Crawford, but her journey to perfection came at a steep price, one that no amount of makeup or glamorous gowns could hide. 4. Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes, one of Hollywood's most enigmatic figures. In his early years, he was the charming, debonair producer, the man who dated the biggest stars and lived a life of luxury. But as the years went on, Hughes became a shadow of his former self, trapped by an obsessive fear that took over his life. At the height of his fame, Hughes was known for his immaculate grooming and sharp suits. But as he aged, something shifted. Hughes, once a man of action and confidence, developed an overwhelming obsession with germs. This turned into a full-blown phobia that crippled him. He refused to bathe for months at a time, wore tissue boxes on his feet instead of shoes, and allowed his nails and hair to grow out to alarming lengths. His once pristine appearance was replaced with a disturbing, almost alien self-neglect. He became a recluse, living in squalor, surrounded by jars of his own urine, as his mental health and hygiene deteriorated. But here's the twist. While Hughes's personal hygiene fell into utter chaos, he was obsessed with cleanliness when it came to others. His demands for perfection extended to the women he dated. If they had even the smallest imperfection, they were out. His bizarre double standard, living in filth himself while expecting perfection from others, was a clear reflection of the contradictions that plagued his life. Hollywood's former heartthrob had turned into a recluse, locked in his hotel room, afraid to touch anything that wasn't sanitized. It's a tragic reminder that even the brightest stars can lose themselves to their darkest fears. 5. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn, Hollywood's original heartthrob, the swashbuckling, devil-may-care leading man whose athletic frame and charming grin made him one of the biggest stars of the 1930s and 40s. On screen, Flynn was the daring hero, swinging from ropes and dueling with swords. Off-screen, not so much. While Flynn captivated audiences with his rugged charm, his personal hygiene was another story. Behind the scenes, his excessive drinking began to take its toll not just on his health, but on his hygiene. Co-stars and crew members reported that his body odor grew unbearable, especially as his drinking habits escalated. It wasn't just his breath that made people recoil. His sweat reeked of alcohol, and by the afternoon, the smell was overpowering. As if that wasn't enough, Flynn developed a reputation for wearing the same clothes for days on end. Yes, the dashing hero who looked so polished on screen would often show up on set in clothes that had already seen a few too many days of action. And when it came time to sleep in them, even worse. Crew members were tasked with dealing with the aftermath of his slovenly habits. His costumes had to be cleaned more frequently than most, with extra panels sewn in to hide the damage. But even then, the smell lingered. His romantic co-stars, like Olivia de Havilland, had to find ways to deal with the situation diplomatically. Olivia, ever the professional, is said to have subtly suggested that Flynn use mouthwash during filming, trying to preserve the scene's chemistry without addressing the issue directly. Errol Flynn may have been the charming swashbuckler on screen, but off-screen, his hygiene was the last thing fans imagined when they thought of their hero. 6. Brando Marlon Brando, a name synonymous with groundbreaking acting and raw talent. Known for revolutionizing the art of performance with his roles in A Streetcar Named Desire and On the Waterfront, Brando became the epitome of the method actor, immersing himself deeply into his roles. But there was one part of his method he didn't quite master: personal hygiene. As Brando's career progressed, so did his disregard for basic grooming. The once charming heartthrob turned into an actor whose hygiene habits became as notorious as his performances. He famously refused to bathe regularly. And deodorant? Forget about it. By the time he filmed Apocalypse Now in the 1970s, his body odor was described as overpowering, and the crew had to work around it. The actor's weight fluctuated dramatically as well, and with it, his personal care went out the window. But it wasn't just about hygiene. It was part of Brando's rebellion against the Hollywood system. He didn't care about maintaining the polished, pristine image that the studios demanded. This was method acting at its most extreme, rejecting the conventions of stardom in favor of embracing the raw, gritty truth. And it didn't stop with the physical. His hygiene issues became a statement, a rejection of everything that was polished and perfect. While Brando's genius on screen earned him legendary status, off-screen, his body odor and refusal to conform to expectations created challenges for directors, makeup artists, and co-stars. During the filming of The Godfather, makeup artists reportedly struggled to make him presentable for the cameras, often spending extra time to ensure he was ready for his scenes, even though he had little interest in maintaining his appearance. Marlon Brando was a rebel in every sense of the word, even if it meant making his co-stars hold their breath while he performed his genius on screen. 7. James Dean, rebel with a cause to bathe. James Dean, the quintessential bad boy of Hollywood, the face of rebellion, the brooding icon who defined a generation. Known for his role in Rebel Without a Cause, Dean's wild spirit made him an instant legend. But while he was busy rejecting everything about Hollywood's polished image, there was one thing he took a bit too far: personal hygiene. Dean's hygiene habits were notoriously poor, and they weren't just a result of his bohemian lifestyle. They became part of his persona. It's said that he rarely bathed, wore the same clothes for days, and didn't seem to care much about the basics of cleanliness. On set, this became an issue, especially during intimate scenes. His co-star, Natalie Wood, who worked closely with him on Rebel Without a Cause, reportedly found it challenging to deal with his body odor, even though she remained professional throughout. But Dean wasn't oblivious to it. Friends from his early days in New York remember his cramped, run-down apartment with unreliable hot water. Yet even when he moved to Hollywood and achieved fame, his hygiene habits didn't improve. His resistance to normal cleanliness seemed to be a statement against the very system that was trying to mold him into the perfect leading man. Director Nicholas Ray, who worked with Dean on East of Eden, even had to address the issue more than once. Dean's clothing was reportedly so grimy that he considered his leather jacket a lucky charm, believing that its accumulated grime added to his authenticity. His superstition about not washing his clothes along with his aversion to bathing became part of the mythos of his image. James Dean's hygiene may have been a reflection of his rebellion, but for the people who worked with him, it was a challenge that wasn't easily ignored. The rebel with a cause, who also had a cause to skip the shower. 8. Judy Garland. Judy Garland, the beloved star of The Wizard of Oz, whose voice still resonates today, but behind her radiant smile, Garland's life was marred by addiction, mental health issues, and the overwhelming pressures of Hollywood. The studio system pushed Garland to the edge, forcing her into a grueling schedule while feeding her diet pills and barbiturates. As her dependence on these substances grew, so did her neglect of basic hygiene. While she maintained a polished appearance on good days, there were times when she arrived on set disheveled and exhausted, unable to take care of herself. Her addiction worsened in the 1940s, and during periods of mental strain, she struggled to bathe regularly, brush her teeth, or care for her skin. During the making of The Wizard of Oz at just 16, her skin already showed the toll Hollywood had taken on her. Her second husband, Sid Luft, even hired an assistant to ensure she bathed during the stressful filming of A Star is Born, 1954. This wasn't just about keeping her image intact, it was a response to the mental and emotional strain she was under. Judy Garland's hygiene issues weren't due to neglect. They were a product of the pressure, addiction, and mental health struggles she faced in an industry that demanded perfection at any cost. Conclusion. Finally, behind the glitz and glamour of old Hollywood, these beloved icons weren't as flawless as the public was led to believe. From Clark Gable's notorious breath to Marilyn Monroe's hygiene habits that shocked even her co-stars, the truth about Hollywood's golden age is far from perfect. These stars, adored by millions, were also deeply human, flawed, struggling, and sometimes, just like the rest of us, unable to keep up appearances. The studio system worked tirelessly to maintain these carefully crafted images, hiding the truth from the public eye. But now, the curtain is pulled back, revealing the dirty secrets that make these stars more real than we ever imagined. If this video shocked you, leave a comment and let us know which Hollywood legend's secret caught you by surprise.